What if I told you that some of the foods you've been told to avoid for years aren't actually unhealthy, that they can boost your energy, help heal your gut, and crush your cravings if you just use them the right way? Stick with me, because I'm going to tell you exactly which carbs those are and what the science actually says about each one. Quick question for you before we dive in. How many of you have cut a food out of your diet because somebody told you it was bad, but you never actually checked the science? Yeah, I used to do that too. I'm Dr. Sophie Hale, and I love cooking. I love good, tasty food. So when somebody tells me there's something I shouldn't eat, my first move is not to obey. My first move is to go read the science. And what I've found is that a lot of the foods we grew up fearing are actually some of the most healing foods on the planet. Today I'm giving you 6 of them. They're all carbs, they're all misunderstood. And I promise by the end of this, you're going to walk into your kitchen and look at your pantry completely differently. Let's start with one of the most boring, most overlooked, most unfairly treated foods on the planet: oats. Now, you've been told oats are basically bird food, or that they're just empty starchy calories that spike your blood sugar. And if you're eating the wrong kind of oats, that reputation is partly deserved. But here's what's actually happening inside your body when you eat real whole oats. Oats are loaded with a soluble fiber called beta-glucan. It's this gel-forming fiber that does something remarkable. It slows down how quickly your stomach empties. It slows down how fast sugar enters your bloodstream. So instead of that sharp blood sugar spike followed by the crash that makes you ravenous 2 hours later, you get this steady, calm release of energy. That's the kind of energy that keeps you focused, keeps your mood stable throughout the day, keeps your cravings from roaring back. But that's only half the story. Beta-glucan is also a prebiotic. It travels down into your colon undigested, and it feeds the good bacteria that live there. Those bacteria ferment it. They turn it into short-chain fatty acids, including something called butyrate. Butyrate is fuel for the cells that line your colon. It strengthens your gut barrier. It lowers inflammation, and it has been associated with better insulin sensitivity. So you go in thinking you're eating breakfast, and your gut microbiome is getting a 5-star meal. Pretty good deal if you ask me. Now, here's where things can go very wrong, and where preparation is everything. Instant oatmeal packets, the ones with little brown sugar flavoring, those are basically dessert. They're stripped of fiber. The sugar hits you fast, and the butyrate, well, nothing of the sort. What you want is old-fashioned rolled oats or steel-cut oats, the kind that still look like the oat grain. Bonus points if you let them sit overnight in the fridge. That's overnight oats. And that overnight chill actually converts some of the starch into resistant starch, which behaves even more like fiber in your gut. Top them with berries, maybe a spoonful of plain yogurt for some polyphenols and protein, and you've got a breakfast that crushes cravings for hours. Quantity matters too. About half a cup of dry oats is a sensible portion. Don't drown it in sugar or milk. Don't eat a heroic bowl the size of your face. Just enough, and let the beta-glucan do its quiet work. Eat your oats the right way, and they will absolutely deliver on energy, on gut health, and on holding those cravings in check. Now let's talk about the food that almost everyone tries to avoid because they think it's fattening: beans and lentils. And I'm telling you, these are the unsung heroes of gut health and steady energy. Most people have heard that beans cause bloating, and yes, that can happen, especially if you jump from 0 beans to a giant bowl of black beans overnight. But here's the science. Beans and lentils are absolutely packed with resistant starch and a kind of fiber called oligosaccharides. Those oligosaccharides are a feast for your gut microbiome, particularly for a group of bacteria that produce that butyrate we just talked about. So when you eat beans regularly, you are essentially cultivating a healthier gut garden. And what does that do for cravings? A lot, actually. When your gut microbiome is well fed and producing those short-chain fatty acids, your body sends stronger satiety signals to your brain. You feel full, you feel satisfied. Beans also have a remarkably low glycemic index, especially compared with white bread or white rice. The carbs break down slowly. Your blood sugar stays steady, your energy stays level. And that's a major reason people who eat legumes as a staple, like in the Mediterranean tradition or in parts of traditional Japanese cuisine, tend to have better metabolic health across the board. Now, preparation matters a lot here, and so does the gradual ramp up. If you're new to beans, start with smaller portions. Try red lentils, which tend to be the gentlest on digestion. Soak dried beans overnight and discard the soaking water. That helps leach out some of the compounds that cause gas. Rinse canned beans thoroughly, and cook them with aromatics like cumin, ginger, garlic, which actually aid digestion and add their own polyphenols. Here's a tip I love. Add a small handful of beans or lentils to a soup you already make. You won't even notice them, and your gut will absolutely thank you. Half a cup of cooked lentils, or about 3/4 of a cup of cooked beans, a few times a week. That's the dose to aim for. Beans aren't the enemy. They're one of the most powerful prebiotic foods you can eat, and they will absolutely help heal your gut and crush those afternoon sugar cravings. Okay, many of you have already cut certain things out of your diet based on outdated advice you're seeing online. But if you want cutting-edge, evidence-based information on how to use food to actually support your body, subscribe to this channel right now. I release new videos every single week breaking down exactly that. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. Next up, the banana. And this is one most people don't think of as a good carb food, because they've only been told to eat bananas after a workout for the quick sugar. And sure, a very ripe banana will absolutely give you fast energy, and that's useful sometimes. But the real magic of the banana is what happens before it ripens. A green, unripe banana is essentially a different food than a yellow one. It's loaded with resistant starch, specifically type 2 resistant starch. That means it resists digestion in your small intestine and travels all the way to your colon, where your gut bacteria ferment it into those lovely short-chain fatty acids. Green bananas also contain pectin, the same kind of soluble fiber you'd find in an apple, and that pectin slows gastric emptying and helps regulate appetite. So a green banana gives you the feeling of eating something substantial, but the carbs behave more like fiber than like sugar. That's a great combination for cravings and for energy that lasts. Now, as the banana ripens, that resistant starch converts into simple sugars, the banana gets sweeter, the glycemic index goes up, so you have two very different tools in one fruit. Green banana for stable energy, gut feeding and appetite control. Ripe banana for quick fuel before a workout, or for when you genuinely need a fast lift. Both have their place. And by the way, the potassium in bananas is genuinely useful for muscle function and blood pressure regulation. It's not hype. Now here's how to use them. If you want the gut healing benefits, slice a slightly green banana onto your oatmeal, or blend one into a smoothie with some spinach and a bit of cinnamon. If you want the quick energy lift, eat the fully yellow one with a smear of nut butter before heading out the door. And don't be afraid of the spotty, super ripe bananas either. They're perfect for baking, because the natural sugars caramelize beautifully. Just don't turn them into a sugar bomb by piling on syrup. Half a banana to a whole banana, depending on the ripeness and your needs. The banana, used thoughtfully, is a masterpiece of a carb, and that's something most people don't realize. Now the next one is sweet potatoes. And I know, you might already have a favorable opinion of sweet potatoes, but even they're misunderstood, because people still roast them with marshmallows on top, which kind of defeats the purpose. So let's reset. The sweet potato on its own is one of the most nutrient-dense carbohydrate sources you can eat. It's extraordinarily rich in beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A. That's a powerful antioxidant that supports your immune system, supports the health of your gut lining, and supports your skin and your eyes. And here's something really cool. The beta-carotene in sweet potatoes actually becomes more bioavailable when you cook the potato with a little healthy fat. That's not marketing, that's just how fat-soluble carotenoids work. Extra virgin olive oil on your roasted sweet potato isn't a luxury, it's a bioavailability upgrade. Sweet potatoes also have a moderate glycemic index, especially when you cook them and then let them cool, which, just like with potatoes and rice, creates more resistant starch. But the sweet potato does something extra. It has a naturally sweet flavor that genuinely satisfies a sugar craving, without the crash. That's a real physiological thing. Your sweet taste receptors respond to the natural sugars, your brain registers reward, and you move on with your day. Compare that to a pastry which spikes you, drops you, and sends you hunting for another one an hour later. That's not willpower, that's blood sugar chaos. With sweet potatoes, you get the satisfaction without the chaos. Here's how I prepare mine, and you can take this straight into your kitchen. Slice a sweet potato into rounds, toss them with extra virgin olive oil, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and roast them until they're caramelized at the edges. Cinnamon helps blunt the blood sugar response even further. Add a handful of leafy greens on the side. That meal is gut-friendly, anti-inflammatory, satisfying, and it will hold your energy for hours. One medium sweet potato is a good daily portion for most people. Don't deep fry it into French fries, don't drown it in butter and brown sugar, don't pave it with marshmallows, roast it, steam it, mash it with olive oil and herbs, and let it be the quiet, deeply nourishing carb it actually is. Sweet potatoes, when prepared properly, are an energy powerhouse, a gut healer, and one of the best natural answers to cravings I can think of. Now our next food is one that I can think of. Now our next food is one that I really want to rehabilitate, and it's sourdough bread. Yeah, bread. I know, the bread conversation is a tense one. Most of you have probably cut bread out of your life, or you only eat the gluten-free stuff that tastes like cardboard. But here's where the conversation gets interesting, because not all bread is the same. A mass-produced supermarket loaf made with refined flour, added sugar, and a quick yeast rise that's going to spike your blood sugar. It's also been stripped of most of its nutrients. Sourdough is fundamentally different, and the science on this is genuinely compelling. Sourdough is made through a long, slow fermentation, usually with a wild lactic acid bacteria starter. During that fermentation, the bacteria do something incredible. They actually break down some of the carbohydrates in the flour. They produce organic acids, especially lactic acid and acetic acid, which slow down how quickly your stomach empties. That lowers the effective glycemic index of the bread, sometimes by quite a lot. Studies have shown that people who eat sourdough bread tend to have flatter post-meal blood sugar curves compared to people eating conventional white bread. There's more. The fermentation process also reduces phytic acid, which is an anti-nutrient in grains that normally blocks absorption of minerals like magnesium, iron, and zinc. So sourdough isn't just gentler on your blood sugar, it's actually more nutritious in terms of what minerals your gut can absorb. And the lactic acid bacteria themselves, some of them survive the baking process and act as gentle probiotics, supporting the diversity of your gut microbiome. So real sourdough, the tangy stuff from a bakery that takes 24 hours to proof its loaves, is genuinely a different food from the soft plastic-wrapped bread at the grocery store. Now here's how to actually use this. Look for sourdough that lists just flour, water, salt, and a starter culture on the label. Skip the imposter loaves that say sourdough flavored, but actually use commercial yeast. A slice or two with dinner is plenty. Top it with avocado, with olive oil and tomato, with smoked salmon and greens, or with a lentil soup. You're getting a slowly digested, mineral-rich, gut-friendly carb that pairs beautifully with real food. Avoid the sugary sourdough toast trend, the cinnamon swirl loaf, the chocolate chip sourdough. Those defeat the entire point. Eat real, properly fermented sourdough in modest portions, and bread goes from public enemy number one to a genuinely healing food. Now, last one. And this one really surprises people, because most of you have probably never even thought about it. Buckwheat. Despite the name, buckwheat is not related to wheat at all. It's actually a seed that's classified as a pseudo-cereal, and it's been used for centuries in cuisines from Eastern Europe to East Asia, often as a porridge, often as noodles. Think Japanese soba. So why am I including buckwheat in a list of healing carbs? Because it's an absolute star for sustained energy. Buckwheat has a low to moderate glycemic index. It digests slowly. And it contains a compound called rutin, which is a polyphenol that supports the health of your blood vessels and reduces oxidative stress. That matters for energy because your circulatory system is what delivers oxygen and nutrients to every cell in your body. Buckwheat also contains resistant starch and a special kind of soluble fiber, so it feeds your gut bacteria and contributes to that SCFA production we keep coming back to. And, importantly, buckwheat is one of the few plant foods that's genuinely high in complete protein, with a balanced amino acid profile, which is almost unheard of for a grain-like food. So you're getting slow-burning carbs, gut-feeding fiber, polyphenols, and protein, all from a single seed. That's a beautiful combination for crushing cravings, because it checks every box your body is looking for when it sends out a hunger signal. How to use it. Toasted buckwheat groats, called kasha, simmered like a porridge, with a splash of milk or a drizzle of olive oil, should you prefer something savory, makes a deeply satisfying breakfast or side dish. Soba noodles made from 100% buckwheat, tossed with sesame oil, scallions and a little ginger, make a fantastic lunch that won't leave you foggy at 3 p.m. Start with a half cup of cooked buckwheat, and adjust from there based on how you feel. Buckwheat is one of those quiet, powerful foods that most people overlook, and it absolutely deserves a spot in your weekly rotation. So let's step back and look at the big picture. I've just walked you through oats, beans and lentils, bananas, sweet potatoes, sourdough bread, and buckwheat. 6 carbohydrate foods that most people have either been told to avoid or just haven't been thinking about in the right way. And every single one of them, when prepared properly, when chosen in good quality, and when eaten in a reasonable portion, can boost your energy, support your gut microbiome, and take the edge off those relentless cravings. So what does this tell us? The same three rules keep coming up, again and again. Quality matters. Is it real whole oats, or instant sugar packets? Is it properly fermented sourdough, or sweet bread in disguise? Quantity matters. A measured portion of a carbohydrate-rich food behaves very differently in your body than a heaping plate of it. And preparation matters. Cooling cooked starches boosts resistant starch. Choosing healthy fats and aromatic spices helps digestion and adds polyphenols. Pairing carbs with protein, fiber, and polyphenols blunts blood sugar spikes and extends satiety. If you understand those three rules, you can take almost any carbohydrate food and turn it into a healing food. The opposite is also true. You can take a perfectly healthy carbohydrate and turn it into junk just by how you cook it, how much you eat, and what you eat it with. The food itself isn't the villain, the context is. By the way, I'm Dr. Sophie Hale, and if you want to keep going deeper on this, on how to use food as medicine in a way that's practical, evidence-based, and rooted in how your body actually works, please subscribe. The next one is already lined up, and I think it'll change another part of how you think about food too. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you there.